So Bill Gates has a daughter by the name of Phoebe Gates, and Phoebe Gates started a company called FIA with her co-founder, Sophia Chiani. And unfortunately for them, they got caught cookie stuffing, which I'll explain later on, but they claim their cookie stuffing controversy was all started because of a software error or a software glitch that they only just discovered. But unfortunately for them again, there is now some alleged leaked messages that shows that they were aware of all of this months before the whole controversy started.
And the second we started opening ourselves up to do things like now we do every other week, we have 40 of our power users come to the office and roast the app, that's when we started seeing real traction.
So obviously their power users weren't really roasting the right parts of the app. But if you saw my last video on FIA, this is kind of a follow-up because somehow the story just keeps getting worse. So last time we talked about FIA, the AI shopping app founded by Phoebe Gates and Sophia Chiani, the company had raised more than $40 million, attracted a ridiculous list of celebrity investors, and built a shopping app and browser extension that promises to find you better deals online. But in July, Bloomberg reported that FIA's browser extension was doing something users probably were not expecting. So essentially, it could insert FIA's affiliate tracking code during checkout, even when FIA had nothing to do with getting that person to buy anything in the first place. So basically, FIA could get paid for doing the work that someone else technically did. So this is called cookie stuffing, or what researcher Ben Edelman prefers to call it is forced clicks. And when Bloomberg first confronted FIA about what was happening, it said that it was only aware of the issue within the last 24 hours. So essentially, FIA blamed the release of a recent code base and removed the feature and said it all stopped. And at this time, there was already some reason to question that explanation, and I covered that in my last video, but things are all going downhill from here. Because in my last video, I was covering speculation, but now Bloomberg has published a second investigation, and this time they have internal Slack messages. And if you don't know what Slack is kind of like the B2B version of Discord, because I swear so many people get outed for Slack leaks, just like people do for their Discord leaks. But here, these messages appear to show Phoebe Gates and Sophia Chiani discussing these exact cookie dropping features 7 months before FIA publicly said that it just discovered the problem. So suddenly, the biggest question here isn't, okay, was FIA claiming sales it didn't drive? No, we already know that was happening, so the new question is, how long did they really know about this? And with those messages that were just obtained, it's pretty hard to argue that nobody knew that was going on. Because on December 10th, Phoebe Gates was apparently concerned that FIA wasn't making as much money from Etsy as expected, so she messaged the company's developers, worried about this issue across the board. Can you confirm Autopop for cookie drop is live at all sites with a coupon to confirm we are monetizing all GMV? And then she reportedly added, but regardless, we should capture every transaction if the cookie drop was working, which, you know, is pretty specific language for a feature that they only claim they just discovered 24 hours before the controversy. And Bloomberg also said this isn't some like mysterious code buried deep down that they could have easily made an oopsie with. No, according to the internal dashboard, FIA had a feature literally called Enable Coupon Auto Drop. Okay. And this could apparently just be switched on and off. So this is kind of like the cookie stuffing equivalent of labeling a door the crime room. But Bloomberg also reportedly found 2 other features that could trigger these cookies. One called passive trigger, and that could fire a cookie every 2 hours on certain shopping sites where a user already had a history with FIA. Another could trigger when a shopper clicked somewhere on the checkout page after FIA's pop-up appeared.
You need to spend 24/7 working on it. You need to be completely obsessed in the weeds with your team. I mean, Phoebe and I are at the office 5 to 6 days a week. We are just working with our team every single day, and we are obsessed and laser focused because we genuinely care.
So it kind of seems like they were trying to get as much money as possible through cookie stuffing. And apparently there was even a discussion about dropping a cookie when someone tried to close the FIA app pop-up. That might be what people could call textbook greedy. And Chiani reportedly responded, I guess we could say that the user is trying to open us and roll it back if they complain. So now, to be clear, FIA says that this particular feature was never implemented. But another message that Chiani reportedly wrote, whatever we can do to keep these cookies dropping will be amazing. Thank you. Well, that's not looking so amazing right now. So obviously this is where the original explanation from FIA is not really looking too good, because we're no longer just talking about researchers finding some weird behavior inside of a browser extension. And obviously this is just a massive deja vu moment from Honey. And Bloomberg really blew this case open by obtaining internal conversations where the company's own founders were discussing when and how these cookies should be dropped. And if you're wondering whether any of this actually made any meaningful difference to FIA's business, It seems like it did, because a FIA data science estimated in a July 7th Slack message that roughly 51% of the merchandise value FIA claimed a credit for in June came from these disputed cookie preferences. Before July 7th, FIA was reportedly averaging about $80,000 a day in revenue, and afterwards, they reportedly dropped to somewhere between $10,000 and $28,000 a day. Okay, that is a substantial drop. I think it's very unlikely that a majority of your business income is coming from an accidental feature that shouldn't have been there. Yeah, they totally were like, it's kind of interesting how we're making so much money here. I wonder what feature that would be. I guess we'll just never look into it. Let's just all turn a blind eye to that, right? The explanation here seems very unbelievable. But obviously with that revenue cliff, it's pretty easy to point and go, yeah, it was probably cookie stuffing that made up that revenue. And we do know how the consequences have started, because Impact.com, one of the major affiliate networks FIA worked with, suspended the company from its marketplace. And it's redirecting commissions that have been credited to FIA, but hadn't been paid out yet going back to June 20th. And FIA also says that it's now reviewing every transaction, reversing transactions from brand partners where it was a misattribution, and hiring a head of compliance, which is a pretty serious cleanup operation for something that was like a oopsie accidental feature that was just added in a recent software update. And this is where the story gets even more interesting, because obviously cookie stuffing isn't some like brand new thing. We've talked about it before. We have the honey, and you even have people who are sitting in federal prison because of it. Because you also have two guys by the name of Sean Hogan and Brian Dunning. Hogan was reportedly eBay's #1 affiliate, and over the years, he collected around $28 million in commissions. And Dunning was #2, and he collected roughly $5.2 million. And according to federal prosecutors, they were using cookie stuffing to get some of it. And the basic premise here was pretty similar. They would just get software onto people's computers, and people would essentially attribute an affiliate click to them without them even knowing. So if someone bought something off of eBay, the system could make it look like Hogan or Dunning deserved a commission for bringing in this customer. And eventually, eBay started wondering, why are we paying these guys so much money? Something's kind of off here. So in 2006, the company brought an outside researcher to help investigate these suspicious affiliates. And that researcher was Ben Edelman. Yes, the exact same Ben Edelman that now is calling out FIA right now. So apparently this guy's mortal enemy is calling out anyone who's abusing the affiliate system. And the eBay situation actually involved the FBI, and both Hogan and Dunning pleaded guilty to federal wire fraud. And Hogan was sentenced to 5 months in federal prison and fined $25,000. And Dunning got 15 months. And this is also why you have these headlines about Phoebe Gates potentially facing 20 years in prison now, because federal wire fraud faces a maximum sentence of 20 years. So in theory, if Phoebe gets charged for this, she could be facing up to 20 years in prison. And in the eBay cases, prosecutors treated the transmission of these fraudulent affiliate cookies as a part of this wire fraud scheme. But there is a massive catch here. Nobody at FIA has been charged with any crime whatsoever, as of right now. There's no publicly announced federal crime investigation into Phoebe Gates, Sophia Kiani, or anyone else at FIA that we know about. So no, Phoebe Gates is not currently facing 20 years in prison. But the reason this history matters is because cookie stuffing has crossed the line into criminal territory and not just a violation of affiliate guidelines. And now the exact same guy who got these guys put in prison is now going after Phoebe Gates and her co-founder. So it does make you wonder, could the ending be similar here? I don't know. Now, criminal charges, I don't think are their biggest worry right now, because I think the current big problem are financial penalties and troubles, because they could get sued pretty hard here. Basically, to sum it up, retailers, affiliate networks, creators, or other businesses can show that FIA took commissions that should have been going to somewhere else or to them, and there could be civil claims over that money. And there could also be contract disputes, demands to return commissions, and other financial penalties here. So attorney Richard Newman, who spent the last few decades working on performance marketing, told the Post that disputes over cookie stuffing are typically handled as contractual matters. Basically, if an affiliate breaks the rules, they lose commissions. But then we have that other comparison here, which is Honey. As I earlier mentioned in this video, Honey got obliterated for doing this exact stuff, and the whole thing turned into a class action lawsuit against PayPal, which owns Honey. And unlike the eBay situation, the fight has remained civil. And the case is still making its way through court, and as of right now, nobody at PayPal has seen any criminal charges from this. So that's probably a better example of what can happen in the future for FIA. But it will be interesting to see if the government steps in here, because we now have these Slack messages that were leaked showing that the company founders were aware of this. And FIA is currently trying to clean it up. The company says it removed all the features that caused the misattributions on July 7th, 2026, and is now reviewing every transaction to figure out which commissions that may need to be revised. And they've also started issuing transaction reversals to brand partners. But this is what I kind of find interesting about FIA is it might be too late, because as a company, if you lose the trust of your customers like that, it's really hard to gain that back. And FIA did respond after the recent allegations that came out, because they said any features causing misattributions were immediately removed over a month ago on July 7th. So again, they're saying they're reviewing the transactions, they're saying they stopped all of this, but the statement didn't really address any of the new allegations. It also didn't explain why Phoebe Gates and the other co-founder was talking about this feature months before it was all called out. And it definitely doesn't explain how the company just found out about it 24 hours before the whole controversy started. So FIA's whole defense here was, we just found out and we stopped. But they haven't really elaborated from there. And that's not really a good response currently. So again, it'll be really interesting to see what happens. If government agencies step in, if they get sued, or what kind of penalties they could be facing here. It's definitely going to be really hard to explain their explanation of, oh, whoops, it was just a bug. Come on now. But that's the current update of how the FIA situation just got so much worse. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe, drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Peace.